Hello and welcome to the 8th and final episode of the Cheltenham Raw, brought to you by oddschecker and PricedUp.bet. I'm your host, George Elek. I'm flanked by one man from oddschecker, Andy Holding, and one man from PricedUp in Stephen Power, the racing blogger, the ambassador for PricedUp. We did a preview, didn't we, for PricedUp on Wednesday? Was it Wednesday night?
Yep.
I'm losing track of things now. Good fun.
Good fun. Hopefully a few winners tipped.
You missed quite a good game of football.
I did. Saved a few quid. Luckily, Liverpool PSG, what a game. How did Liverpool get away with that, Andy? Unbelievable.
I know. Daylight robbery, wasn't it?
Daylight robbery.
And you were also on stage whilst your beloved Arsenal won 7-1.
Yeah, I still can't believe
which
that.
was quite funny.
I actually watched the first. So I rewatched the highlights.
Yeah.
PSV have hit the post in the first 10 minutes and had another clear chance. I think it was one of those games that could have went either way, really. I think PSV crumbled, eh?
Yeah, indeed.
Old Ruben van Persie, the little snake. And don't forgive him.
Did you enjoy watching your Liverpool team? You know, comfortable, cosy 1-0 win away from home at PSG, wasn't it?
Looks mandatory, doesn't it?
Yeah.
History books will say 1-0, but it's far from it, wasn't it? Was it 71% possession? Was it something like that?
27 shots.
Yeah, 27 shots to 2.
Yeah.
I don't think Liverpool have ever suffered so much in a game as that. But in all fairness, I thought the second half they restricted PSG to shots outside the box. And obviously Alisson was on fire as well, and he was saving everything. But the two wide lads for PSG were unbelievable, wasn't it? Dembele and the other lad, the Georgian lad, which I can't quite remember his name.
Fair play to your manager taking off Salah because he wasn't having a great game.
He was having a shocker, yeah.
What a substitution it turned out to be.
Yeah, I think L'Equipe, the newspaper in France, gave him a 3.
Yeah.
Really?
I think it was a 3 for turning up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really poor.
Yeah.
But you know, he's got a chance to shine in the second leg with his home supporters, and you'd like to think with the 1-0 advantage that they'll get another goal.
Yeah.
So you know, PSG have probably got to get 2 or 3, haven't they?
And priced up. You know, this is a racing show, but plenty of boosts across football as well. So if you go up on the PricedUp site, you can find the boost there. When we did the preview night the other day, loads of horses boosted out up on PricedUp on that day.
I can honestly say we've stood those for some serious numbers.
Yeah,
it's pretty scary.
Yeah, I can imagine. And there's loads going on throughout. Like even today, 10-1 is the daily Cheltenham countdown boost. Brighter days ahead to win the Champion Hurdle and East India Dock to win the Triumph Hurdle. These are coming every single day. So make sure if you haven't got a PricedUp account, get one, sign up for one, and you can get these value bets consistently. This is going to be we've covered every single major race basically of the festival so far, but they're all major races, and this is going to be a focus on the handicaps. Now there are plenty of Cheltenham handicaps over the course of the week, so rather than going through each and every one of them, because we've done that plenty of times, we've asked the guys to come with a nap, so their best bet in the handicaps, a next best, a long shot, and then a bubble burst. A bubble burst being one of these handicap plots, these good things that actually they reckon the value has probably popped, and they may not go as well as some people would have you believe. But as is always the case on the Cheltenham Raw, we're not just focusing on the races. We're going to have a look at some of the wider stories around the festival. And since we were last here, Andy, all change in terms of, it's changed a couple of times in terms of the Champion Hurdle market. We now know that Brighter Days Ahead will be taking on Constitution Hill in the Champion Hurdle, all being well. It looked 24 hours ago for all the world like Lossiemouth would also be lining up in the Champion Hurdle, but there's been a big shift in the exchanges now with Lossiemouth, basically a 6-5 shot on the exchanges for the mares and out to kind of 12-13-1 for the Champion Hurdle, suggesting that Rich Ritchie and Willie Mullins have put their heads together and decided to go for the easier prize. What do you make of that?
I suppose it's understandable, isn't it? In some respects, it's a little bit galling when they have said all along, for those who like to lock in anti-post investments, that the Champion Hurdle was a 2-year plan, which has now obviously gone out the window. I think they've looked at it realistically and thought, well, even perhaps if we're at our best, maybe we'd only finish 3rd at best. And there's a good chance if they go into the mares that they'll have a clear run in that race. But you look at the mares now, all of a sudden everyone wants to run in the mares. You know, that looks a hot race. Jade Grugy, Carla Conti, July Flower, they're supplementing Joyous. So I don't think that's penalty kick material. It's disappointing because you did want the big 4 there. It would have been lovely to see that those 4 have a crack at each other. She would have had a chance, but Rich Ritchie is probably looking at it realistically, and thinking, well, I'm a bit thin on the ground here. Perhaps winner-wise with other horses at the festival. I'm looking at a 10-1 shot in the champion and probably a 6-4 shot in the mares.
Probably even shorter than that, possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, Blogsy, do you think this is done now? Do you think, given the move we're seeing, do you think this is going to be the case? Lossiemouth goes for the mares?
Yeah, when Patrick Mullins came out earlier on in the week and said Paul's going to ride State Man, I think it was game over more or less straight away. That was a crunching fall at Leopardstown, and we don't know how it's affected her mindset, her mentality. You know, when horses take falls, we've seen some of the greats over the years never come back from them. You know, it must hurt. I actually think it's the right decision to run her in the mares. I think she's more of a staying mare than a speed 2 mile mare, especially
It's
with the
looking that way
ground
nowadays,
drying.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen her take on Tiapu and the Stayers. I would have loved to have seen that, because with that turn of foot, she probably would win a Stayers hurdle.
Yeah.
I think she probably stays a bit better than Annie Power did.
Yeah.
It's a shame for us. You know, it's been hailed as the big 3 at Cheltenham, brighter days ahead, Connie and Lossie, and it's not going to happen. But Rich Rishi pays the bills. He puts a lot of money into racing. He wants a festival winner. And if that's the way he wants to go, he goes. But I just hope they announce it. Stop flapping about.
Yeah.
Don't do a Vautour on us and go from the Gold Cup back to the Ryanair. Just make an announcement. And fair play to Gordon Elliott for cracking on, saying brighter days ahead, runs in the champion hurdle, letting us all know. And it makes it more enjoyable from a punting perspective and from looking at a race perspective.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Hopefully we get confirmation either way relatively soon. You know, we are recording this on Thursday late morning, so not long to go until Tuesday. And obviously the mares and the champion hurdle are both on Tuesday's card. So fingers crossed, even by the time this goes out, maybe we'll have confirmation either way. As we say, it is Thursday. Racing starts on Tuesday. We are nearly there. Always important. You know, in doing these previews, Andy, we haven't been able to talk about the ground and the going, which is obviously essential when you're looking. You know, it's all easy to talk in hypotheticals about these races and stuff, but realistically, you know, it's so ground dependent in terms of which horses will perform on the day. You know, it's been brilliant in terms of the weather in the last week or so. Are we expecting it to be kind of decent spring ground?
Very much so, yeah. So much so that you look at the Racing Post today as we speak, and Clerk of the Course is thinking about turning on the taps, isn't it, at some stage, just to keep it at a sort of manageable level.
It's difficult. A bit of rain forecast on Monday, which makes the job quite
You've seen Saturday and Sunday, 17 degrees.
I know.
17 degrees.
I know. Yeah.
And then it drops down to 9 on the Tuesday, which is a shame for us.
I know.
In all fairness, Stephen, you don't need any excuse to wear the shades, do you?
But also, it's also -2 overnight on Monday night, on Tuesday night as well.
Very bizarre, right?
Yeah, I feel it must be like really difficult conditions to manage this in terms of like hot in the day, like baking, you know, proper sun out 16 degrees, rain the day before, freezing temperatures overnight.
Because you can turn the ground gluey.
Exactly.
Sticky, and you don't want that.
No.
I think it probably will ride quite sticky on the first day. That's what'll happen. You know, they've had all that rain. There's a lot of moisture in the surface. Water tables have been quite high. Excuse me. And then, you know, you get a drying period. It bakes the top surface, doesn't it? And then it just sort of becomes, like I say, very, very holding, rather than, you know, nice ground when they can just float through it. So actually, perhaps a little bit of rain at some stage, or some water, and I'll just liven it up a bit, freshen it up a bit, which is probably not a bad thing.
Yeah. Any horses that you had in kind of chalked down as a potential bet that because of the drying ground you're kind of drawing a line through?
Well, I think on day one we're kind of just looking at the class horses, and I think class prevails in National Hunt racing, especially at Cheltenham. If we're lining up on good to soft, that's not going to hinder Kopek de Board. It's not going to hinder Madgeborough or Constitution Hill. So from the perspective of the big grade ones, no, things will stay the same. From certain horses in behind and later on in the week, the likes of Final Demand, who's a big heavy-topped Irish National Hunt horse, absolutely. You'd start to question whether conditions are going to be ideal. And we obviously still don't know, is he going to run in the Turners or the Albert Bartlett? There's a lot of things up in the air here.
There is.
But I think the ground could catch a few of these out. A lot of them have been racing on soft to heavy throughout the whole season, and it's not going to be that way at Cheltenham.
I've seen this before where you have a drying period a couple of weeks before the meeting or a week before the meeting. All of a sudden, when you're watching it live on the date itself, the dynamic looks totally different to what you've been used to throughout the course of the season. You've had those arduous, punishing races where horses have been finishing out on their feet, and it's survival of the fittest. Whereas this, it's all about pace, and you know, it's just you just almost feel as though you're watching a totally different event. It's going to bring other horses into play. I think that's the thing with the good ground, the good to soft ground. I think when you get soft ground, most horses would have run on it at some stage through the season. So you just look at the form, but you go, well, they've all run on soft. But not all of them are going to enjoy a quicker surface. So like I say, I think horses that have just been cast to one side have been running poorly on soft ground. All of a sudden now they're going to have their chance, where a week or two ago they'd be completely not given any chance at all.
Yeah, indeed. Right at the end of the show, we'll have a quick look ahead to Sandown. We'll preview the Imperial Cup and the EBF final. But now it is time to get stuck into these Cheltenham handicaps. Blogsy, come to you first. What's your best bet of the lot? What's your nap?
For the day one or for the meeting?
No, for the meeting and the handicaps.
Oh, for the meeting, right. Well, I guess I'll go with Beyond Your Dreams for Joseph O'Brien, due to run in the Fred Winter. He was second to Total Look of Gavin Cromwell's. Got beat half a length. And if you go back and watch your race replay, I actually don't know how he got beat. He jumped fairly sloppy at the last two. And he came there absolutely cantering. Made up another 2 lengths jump in the last. He's £2 better off. He's only had 3 runs. He's allotted a mark of 1, 2, 3 for JP McManus. He's been backed already from 14s into 15 to 2. The horse he beat at Ferryhouse called Slurricane has gone on to hack up next time out. There's a lot in this horse's favour. I think it's a Joseph O'Brien JP plot job, and I'd be very, very confident of him being in the first 3. And I think the better ground will suit him as well.
Beyond Your Dreams there in the
Fred Winter.
In the Fred Winter is Blogsy's nap. 7-1 best. 7-1 is the price with priced up at this stage. 7-1 about Beyond Your Dreams. We spoke about this race yesterday, Andy, and you were keen on Stencil's chances. What are your thoughts on Beyond Your Dreams?
Yeah, I'm interested to know that Stephen quite likes Beyond Your Dreams, because that's my sort of dangerous floater in the race. The bogey horse.
Especially, both owned by JP. Like, which one goes off shorter? You probably know your fate, don't you?
Oh, there's no way Beyond Your Dreams will go off favourite over Stencil.
No.
Thoughts?
I don't know. I'm seeing 6-1 co-fabs, the two of them now.
Really?
This is some gamble. I'm just furious I haven't got on earlier on in the week. I've been tipping it up and not punted it.
I mean, she's a lovely filly. That day that she got beat, I don't think they were that bothered that she got beat,
Absolutely.
if you like. She should have won. She was in front, holding the curb on the inside. Mark Walsh let the other horse get first run, jumped the second last better, as Stephen said. And then once he's pulled her out and got her rolling, she's took off, and with another 10, 15 yards, she wins. She was the best horse out of those two on that day.
Yeah. She
won next time out, so beat Slurrican. And she's a massive unit. If anyone goes racing, they want to look at the horse's physique, size and what have you. She looks a proper horse. I remember watching on the flat when she won. I think she won at Killarney one night. She just dwarfed the rest of her field as a young horse. So she's definitely got the size and substance to look after herself in a race of this nature. She's a pretty talented mare, but
it's funny you say that. She's really big. She's by Fastnet Rock.
Yeah.
And when I went to Coolmore Stud, he's the biggest stallion I've seen in my life. Apparently he weighs 600 kilos.
Wow.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Must be all those eggs. Yeah. You're telling us the scale of your breakfast this morning.
Yeah. Tell that to Conor Ben.
That was off camera, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for our sound check, Blogs had to tell us he had 6 scrambled eggs this morning. Only one yolk, the rest were egg whites. That's how he gets that physique and why I'm slightly more doughy.
It's in tatters at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's well, I would say Stencil's an absolute nap banker for me. Is difficult to say, because I probably will have 2 bets in the race.
Okay.
But I'm beginning to think I maybe missed the value on the one. But yeah, Stencil's definitely got to be short material. As I've said, doing previous podcasts, we've done East India Doc's my nap of the meeting in the grade 1. So Stencil has got to be high on my list in a handicap.
Can I ask you a quick question? If Stencil bombs out, does that slightly take your edge off East India Doc at all?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate that happening.
Yeah.
Because I think if Stencil runs up to that level, he's got to be in the 4. It's just almost impossible for him not to run well. The only way he won't run well is if, he doesn't handle the inner track, or the ground might be a bit livelier than he's used to, because obviously he comes from France and he's used to racing on soft or heavy ground, and this is going to be a quicker terrain than what he has been used to before. So that at the back of my mind, I've got that as a little bit of a inbuilt sort of excuse. But on pure ability and off a handicap mark, which I think is fairly generous, then I'd still expect his qualities to come through.
And if he romps, do you double down on East India Doc?
I don't need to have any more on, Steve, to be honest. I don't want to be back in East India Doc at 6-4 when I've got nice prices about it.
Yeah.
The work's done with him.
Yeah.
It's just getting him there on the
You're
day.
the cat with the cream at the moment.
And just, well, you just got to hope for the best, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, indeed. So Andy, then, what's your nap? What's your best bet of the handicaps at the Cheltenham Festival?
As it stands at the moment, probably the best bet at the prices would be Dart in the per attempts. Again, I'll probably have a little bit of a small saver on Feet of a Dancer. I think she's quite a useful filly or mare. But Dart
12 to 1 Dart.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Dart ever since he won his bumper back in the day, and then Thomas Cooper decided to bring him over to run him in the champion bumper. I think it was the year Facel Vega won when it was an absolute bog, and he just didn't handle the conditions. But since then, he's made a really nice hurdler. He had a problem of pulling very hard in the early part of his career. They tried to settle him from the front, and he was very free and very keen. So they've now completely changed tack, and they're dropping him out. They've dropped him out too much at Navan 2 runs ago when he was last going past the winning line, but he made a huge amount of ground up in the final circuit. He finished third, finishing very strongly, and I thought, oh, God, that was a big run. And straight away I'm thinking, well, Coral Cup maybe, per attempts. They qualified him in England, bringing him over at Carlisle when he just got beat. Yeah, it was really bad ground that day. 3 mile 1 stiff track. He got done by on Ollie Murphy, Sean Bowen, Miracle Ride. Not the first horse that's come under that scrutiny. I just really like him, and I think the better ground is ideal for him. I don't think he wants really bad ground. A hold-up ride is not a bad policy either in the per attempts. Most of the per attempts winners tend to come from off the speed. I think the new course is tailor-made for him, that long run from 2 out to the line. So I think 12 to 1?
12 to 1 the price up, yeah.
Yeah. I think if you get 12 to 1 on the day with 5 or 6 places, you won't be far away with that.
Do you think there's any reason why people should take the 12 to 1 now?
I think my recommendation now is, unless you're uncertain about a horse going for one race or another, i.e. non-runner no bet, with if this one is and he's in this one or nothing else, then you might as well wait for the day, because you're going to get the extra places. If you're if you're a win-only punter, then take the 12 to 1 fine. But I'd rather go wait, and get 10 or 11 to 1, 6, 7 places rather than take 12 with 4 places now.
You can always, if you want, have a small bet now, just in case there's a some big gamble and you lock in your value.
And the other thing as well, if you're backing something now, you only want to be playing now if you can get 20 to 1 on a horse that's going to go off 8. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Do you see any reason why Dart?
He's not going to crash through the floor now.
No. Okay.
I don't see him being tipped too many on these preview nights.
No.
So he's not comes from a powerful stable, sexy stable. He's not a horse that the UK punters all sort of like familiarise themselves with. So he's a bit of an under the radar one.
Dart, 12 to 1 the priced up. Anything you like there in the attempts?
Not really.
Let's move on.
Not really.
Not your kind of race, is it? So?
Yeah, not until I've seen the final decks. Yeah. It's just a head scratcher.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I do like Jericho de Roupenay. I was down with Nicky Henderson last week on his gallops, and I said, Nicky, how has this horse ended up running over 3 miles when it was supposed to be a novice chaser going for the Arkle this season? And he just went, well, Stephen, it hasn't worked out. And I said,
Conor Moore's got nothing to worry about.
Exactly. Yeah, can't do that one. He just said, look, I think the horse has every chance, and he seems to have a right smile in his eye, a glint, and I think his form's there for all to see. I think he's got a brilliant chance off a 135. It was a really crafty little ride there at Exeter when he finished third last time out. If this horse long term isn't better than 135, I'd be amazed. And I think the drying ground will be perfect for him.
Yeah,
it could be one of those that turn into a big gamble and go off 3 to 1 in a day.
Yeah,
could be a sexy horse.
Johnny Deneen didn't agree, did he?
No, he didn't.
On Tuesday night.
He's not a horse I'm mad and keen on either. I agree with you. From a handicaps point of view, you'd think 135, but a lot of it is in between his ears with him.
Yeah.
He did that daft thing at Sandown, his chase debut. He just looks a horse sometimes that's got his own ideas about the game. I mean, he'll either, take to a big field Cheltenham handicap like this and be, make us look all fools, but I wouldn't say I could wholeheartedly trust him.
Yeah. 6 to 1 he is, if you agree with Blogsy about Jericho de Roupenay in the Patemps. What's your next best in the handicaps? What's your
I'm going to go for the old boy in the cross-country chase. I'm going to go for Galvin, a horse who I think will go off favourite. I think there'll be a big gamble on this come today. We're looking at the only Grade 1 winner in the field. He beat a Plutara in the Savills in 2021, second to Delta Work in the race in 2023, fourth in the Grand National. This is a horse with a lot of class, and there's a lot of horses in this field who won't appreciate the drying ground. He will. I'm not going to say he still has a turn of foot at the age of 11, but he's a horse who can actually quicken a bit. and I wouldn't say there's many in this race who can. I think off of 11 stone 7, he'll be tuned to the days at 144 day break. Gordon will have him absolutely purring. We know he loves Cheltenham. We know he stays. We know he's got class. Why isn't he favourite?
Is there not a worry here that, because obviously if it was a cross country of old where you're just looking for pure class, but now it's a handicap where you know that there are a couple that have been laid out for this. You know that the form lines aren't necessarily to be taken without a pinch of salt.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of people talk about Bustleton being laid out for this. A lot of people talk about Mr. Coffee. A lot of people talk about ICO Madrick in terms of expecting them all to shorten. Does that give you any concern that there could be a couple kind of absolutely thrown in here and pitched towards this?
Joseph's is an 8-year-old running off a 138, but again, he has to prove that he actually stays. He's run round that field twice and been beat 17 lengths and 15 lengths. So he's got a bit of ground to make up. Sure, look, you don't want to be giving a stone away as an 11-year-old, do you? It's not ideal to younger progressive horses. But in this particular race, I think it's more of a mindset race. You've got these weird obstacles. You've got the banks. You've got the hedge fences. You've got the brush hurdles. You've got to love it. And certain horses like Tiger Roll and Delta Works and Stumptowns and Galvins, they obviously love it. They thrive on it.
Tiger Roll used to have a nice spin around the country course and finish down the field, didn't he?
There you go. It's a horses for courses race. And I personally, if you can get 5s on Galvin, I don't know what he is now, each way,
4-1.
He's down to 4s already?
Yeah.
Right. I can't see him being out the first 3. I really can't.
It's a nice bit of each way thievery for Galvin there, Blogsies. Next best in handicaps. We had a chat about this yesterday as well. Mr. Coffee was the one that you liked in the cross country. Just
from a place point of view, I'd say
you made up 2 of the 3 places now.
Well, yeah, he'd be banker place material, wouldn't he? If you're looking to do play spots, you think, well, okay, you've got the reliable sorts, your Stumptowns, your Galvins, but you pretty much know that Mr. Coffee's going to be bang there. Come Wednesday, I'll be if I'm looking to do some each way multiples on the day when my each way fancies like the Yellow Clay and 1 or 2 others in handicaps. He'll definitely be in there just for the sport. Yeah, just to see him sort of boost those each way doubles up.
I said to Nicky on the gallops, Mr. Coffee, what a dodge pot. He turned around and looked at me and went, don't you dare. He'll win a race, I promise you.
Really?
Told me off.
Could be on Wednesday in the cross country. Andy, what's your next best when it comes to handicaps?
Midnight Alfred in the Kim Muir.
Yes, you gave up. Very, very good.
Like him. The more I've looked at this race and now I've seen the weather conditions coming more in his favour, the more confident I have of a big run with him. I actually watched the run of his Paddy Power from start to finish last night again, just to concentrate my mind and double check that it was such a good run as it was on the eye on the day. He was always up to the speed that day. Anything that sort of was handy or in and around him dropped away. I think 3-car Bragg actually picked up the run going away from the stands and gave him a little bit of respite. But he ended up fading into obscurity and Midnight Alfred, to be fair to him, just kept going. In the end, he got brushed aside by Percival Galwa, but Percival Galwa had threatened to win a big race for a long, long time and he finally had his day in the sun. He won again subsequently over hurdles. Nick Rocket was 3rd. He went on to win a Thyestes and a Bobby Joe. Yeah. And you could go all the way down the list and pick horses that will come out of it, including 3-car Bragg, who won subsequently. It was a very fast time. It was the fastest time figure that we've got so far this season. Either side of the Irish Sea, 3 mile handicap-wise. Very, very strong form. If you can jump around Leopardstown at pace with 27 runners, you can really handle yourself. He's run 3 times at Cheltenham, and every time he's finished 2nd. Wow. He's just got a brilliant record here. He's finished 2nd on the new course. He actually finished 2nd to Hymac over 3 mile 4 on good ground, spring ground last April. And I love the way he's been campaigned ever since. It is almost as if this race has been the main target. Yeah. I actually thought he might get an entry in the Grand National, but he didn't, because I think he would have gone well in that. This has clearly been the plan. I don't know who's riding him, amateur wise, but I think there'll be probably quite a few queuing up to get the leg over on him. I'm really, really keen on him. I think so. Was he now 7 or 8 to 1?
8 to 1. So 8 to 1 with PricedUp, which is joint best price on the oddschecker grids.
He could potentially be the gamble of the race.
Well, I mean, Johnny Who's been the one that all the money's come for after
I get that
big booking yesterday, and
I get that. And given what the way you're thinking did last year, the way he's been ridden, I totally get that, and he could easily tighten up. But that is definitely one price that I think I advise everyone to take now. I think that will be more because I always think those last races, like you, Stephen, the last race, the handicap on that. You look up on the board going out at the start, you see like favourite 4-1 into 5-2, second favourite 6-1 into 9-2.
There's always a couple.
Nothing goes out, everything comes in. You think, Christ, like everything's fancied.
Yeah.
So I urge you on the last race of the day, take the price in the morning, take the odds beforehand, because it's always the last race. Roll up money or whatever. Yeah. Punters have got money coming out their ears, backing all the short price favourites, and they tend to concentrate on the ones down the front end of the market, and they usually go in free fall. Yeah. So I think that 8-1 will be massively under pressure.
Midnight Owl Fred there for Andy. Makes a strong case, doesn't he?
He does indeed. I've got another one for you.
Yeah.
In the Ultima.
Great.
Famous Bridge.
Is this just another next best?
Yeah.
Perfect.
A lively outsider.
Yeah, I love it.
20-1 shot for Nicky Richards.
Your long shot, perfect. Which one is it?
Famous Bridge.
Famous Bridge, yeah.
He beat Apple away last time out.
16-1.
16s. Beat Apple away last time out at Haydock. It was the first time they put the cheek pieces on the horse, and it really improved his jumping. He pinged those fences around Haydock. He needs to win, I believe, to be able to get into the Grand National. He's offered 1-4-2, so if he could pick up a £6 penalty, it would really help his chances. He's been trained to be a national horse. He's got speed. He was fourth in the race last year to Chianti Classico. His jumping went to pots that day from 3 out. He was travelling really well in about fourth or fifth coming down the hill, and he just didn't seem to get home. I don't think he was quite at his best. He'd been pulled up before and unseated his jockey at Haydock. But the way he quickened away from Apple away to me really took my eye. I can't see him being out the first 4. I think he's been trained for Cheltenham and Aintree. He's an improving horse. The last 10 winners of the Ultima have all been British. If you fancy an Irish horse, chuck them out, get rid of them. They won't be winning. That's half the field gone. Yeah. So I think Famous Bridge at 16-1 is a right each way bet. Sean Quinlan already booked.
He ticks a lot of the boxes on the stats. But being a previous Cheltenham Festival horse, or ran well in the Cheltenham Festival race, got Cheltenham Festival form. My only slight reservation with him, Stephen, if I've got one, ground.
Well, it's good to soft at Haydock last time. You know, as they get older, he's by the Coolmore stallion, Fame and Glory. Fame and Glory's always appreciate a bit of a sounder surface. Yeah. So I wouldn't be too worried about that myself. And I always think as horses get older, they're capable of handling different types of ground. Just when they're younger, they're a bit more picky, you know. Yeah. So I wouldn't be too worried about that myself. I think the cheek pieces have made a big difference. Yeah. I know cheek pieces don't work the second time. Sometimes they only work the first time because horses are quite clever with them. Yeah, but if he runs to that form, he won't be far away. He's got a nice weight of 10-13.
16-1, Famous Bridge in the Ultima is Blogsy's long shot. Is that your specific long shot? Is that just we're fluid. Yeah. Anything you like in the Ultima before we move on to your long shot?
I thought Broadway Boy, he's similar to Stephen's horse. He's run well at Cheltenham numerous times. I think he's had injection in his knees recently because he's had a problem with his knees, and he didn't have it last time, that's why he runs so bad. But he ran well in the old Hennessy behind Paul Nicholls' horse, not the Kaluki Kid. Can Do Kid, yeah. I was getting Kaluki Kid and Can Do Kid mixed up. That's my old age. That was an excellent run on good ground. He's the type that I think will go well and give you a good spin. I don't think he's particularly well handicapped off 150, but yeah, he should be in the thick of it.
Yeah, it should be. Broadway Boy there is 7-1 with PricedUp Bet. Andy, what is your long shot fancy?
It's just got to be 20-1 or over.
Oh, he did 16-1, so you know. Oh, okay. Call it 16-1 or bigger.
I can go 20-1 or over.
Okay, good.
No questions asked in the Martin Pike.
Yeah.
Ben Paulin's horse. He finished second in the Sydney Banks, and based on our numbers, that Sydney Banks was one of the best novice hurdles run so far this season, courtesy of the gallop that Jax Jr. set. He really tried to serve it up to the Henderson horse and ended up winning it. It was a very strong favourite. Cade does something, I can't quite remember its complete name. You probably might be able to help me out.
Yeah, keep talking, I'll get it for you.
And the Henderson horse looked the first beat. No question.
Califet on Vol.
That's the one, Califet on Vol. He's a very strong stayer. He's a definite nice horse for next season, chasing in the making. And Ben's horse finished second. Ended up getting the better of Jax Jr., but just found one too good on the day. But the time figure was exceptionally good. Ben actually had him entered up in the Supreme Novices and the Turners, but I think the plan is to go for the boys' race. But he needed one more run after that Huntingdon race. I think Ben was scrambling around thinking, oh God, where can I run him to get one more run, because you need 5 runs. So he found a nice little egg and spoon race about 2 weeks later at Ludlow where he was 8 on.
Oh, I remember that.
So all he had to do was basically just jump round and qualify. It was almost like a schooling session. So it served the purpose of getting him qualified without giving him a hard race. He's had 4 weeks to recover, if you want to recover him from a stroll round Ludlow. And he'll definitely get in because he's quite high up in the handicap. But he's just the type for the race. Strong traveller, got a touch of class, second in a listed race. He'll go under the radar because everyone will concentrate on the Irish horses. Your Woodoos, your McClorys, and obviously the Kopek de Mio could be the next coming. We don't know that, but I'd be surprised if he didn't run better than his odds anyway. That's all I'd say.
Yeah, I'm interested to see you talk about that race because I actually drove to Huntingdon that day.
Oh yeah.
To back Calais and Ball for Nicky Henderson. We won't talk about stakes because I know it upsets a few people.
Hey.
But, I drove down there and I tweeted, I'm off to Huntingdon today to have a bet.
How many zeros?
It was relative. It wasn't too big, but
look at you being all coy.
Yeah, we don't want to upset them boys on Twitter. They've been chewing up for me recently.
Don't push him, he'll end up telling you.
I'm trying to bite my tongue here.
They'll come for me now.
So I drove up to Huntingdon to back the horse. He's one of those where I don't know if you've seen him in the flesh, Andy.
Big unit, isn't he?
Stunning. Oil painting. Honest to God, wow, what a beautiful racehorse. Went into the parade ring, saw him and went, oh, this is on. This is so on. Spoke to a few people behind the scenes and all the syndicates were backing the horse who was favourite just before him. Was it Jax Jr.?
Yeah.
It was Jax Jr. So I'm thinking to myself, because they obviously know a bit more than me, all these statisticians and all that, mathematicians. And I'm like, Stephen, you've got to back your judgment. It's all you ever do, kid. So just stick with your own flow. So my horse goes out to 7-4. I go into the ring, I have a few cash bets. Come back in there 5 minutes later, he's 11-10. So I'm not saying I've moved the market, but something shifted.
Yeah.
So Andy, you're saying that was a really good race on the speed
sounds
figures.
like that's putting you away.
So interesting. So and Calais involved for the future, definitely one to really focus on.
That's the strongest piece of form we've got time figure wise.
Wow.
It might not necessarily be the best horses ran in it.
Yeah.
There's the new line, for instance, and horses like that, and that are capable of running quicker than what they have. But just based on what we have, the historic data, that went over the line in the sand to say that is a championship race.
Blimey.
So
that's very interesting.
Speed that they will go in the Martin Pipe, will be no problem for no questions asked. He'll cope with a very, very strongly run race. Yeah. Put it this way, I'll be surprised if the winner of the Martin Pipe runs a speed figure of 72 or over, which is what he did last time. Most years, the Martin Pipe we find, because it's handicap, and they don't go an absolute million in it. They usually run between 65 and 70. So he'll be comfortable, really comfortable with the pace they go.
But that brings me on to my next question, which is similar to what I said to Blogsy about the cross country being a handicap. Like, is this, no questions asked, the form is out there, like it's been given a mark based on some brilliant runs. Is there not an element where the Martin Pipe maybe goes to horses that have been
absolutely looked
after a bit?
I can guarantee there'll be at least 4 or 5 that have got loads in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mullins horse, everyone's saying is ridiculously well treated. I'd love McClory. I think McClory's Emmett Mullins is new star on the block. I think he's a lovely, lovely horse. He'll definitely be on my shortlist if he does go here.
Yeah.
The list is endless. Possibly, like I say, he has, he's had a shot across the bow without such a good run that the handicap has now, said, right, we think you're this good, and he hasn't got anything in hand, but that doesn't mean to say that he can't run really well. At the end of the day, he's 25 to 1 or whatever he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I put up one more horse?
Yes.
As a big outsider?
Yes, please.
Port Julian in the Albert Bartlett for Willie Mullins. He cost 300 grand after winning his point-to-point, beating a horse called the Kingpin, who's actually quite a good horse himself. Things haven't gone right for this horse. Don't forget, in Ireland, they don't have to declare if a horse has had a wind up. I don't know if this horse has or hasn't. But he came out to Punchestown last time, beat Sermonzac for Gordon Elliott, who's gone on to frank the form. This horse is around in and around the 25 to 1 mark, George. I don't think he should be that price. And if you look at the last 10 winners of the Albert Bartlett, the shortest price winner has been Monkfish at 5 to 1. We've had Manella Indu at 50 to 1. We've had loads of big prices. Yeah. So why shouldn't I stick up a 25 to 1 shot who is bred to be far better than he's shown and is starting to find his feet? And I think he'll improve for the strap up and trip as well.
Yeah, 25 to 1 about Port Julian there. An interesting
margin
outsider.
It is indeed. Yeah, big money purchase. Things haven't gone right for him, but he's along the right route at the moment, you know.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Is he a confirmed runner, do we know?
He's supposed to. I heard Rich say on the Sun Cheltenham preview yesterday, he is running.
Right now, before we get to Sandown, I'm going to ask you both for the festival handicapper you're looking to take on, who are one of these well-backed things, good things that you're not having at all. Blogsy, to start with you.
Yeah, I want to take on Be Aware for Dan Skelton in the Coral Cup. Yes, he's got great form over course and distance with Burdett Road, but that was 2 miles. This is 2.5. He's a free-going horse. I was at the Gallop at Huntingdon when him, Grey Dawning and the New Lion all worked. He went charging 40 lengths clear. I don't know who the work rider was or the jockey, but he couldn't hold him.
He's not there anymore.
No. All right, yeah. If he tries to do that over 2.5 at Cheltenham, he'll be running out the back of the field. I think he's a bit too much of a free running horse. I know Skelton's got a great record in the race with Langadan, but I don't think this horse is another Langadan. He's off a 1.37. I think he's on his mark. I would have preferred to see him over a fast run 2 miles, and I'd be more than happy to take him on in a field full of horses who will definitely stay and potentially stay further.
Interesting. Andy, in agreement?
Be Aware. Yeah, I, by and large, I think I'd probably look elsewhere. I haven't quite formalised my plans for the Coral Cup yet. It's one of the races where it's an on-the-day race for me. But yeah, and a horse that's not guaranteed to get the trip, maybe is a bit free. That could be a good angle that Stephen's come up with. Marty's Now Is the Hour, Gavin Cromwell's horse. Not necessarily because I've got anything nasty to say about the horse itself, but just because I think the form lines are so strong with Haiti Kalora and Transmission. I think the winner will come from one of those two. They've got Cheltenham form, and that Cheltenham form stands out on the numbers. It was a very strongly run race the day when Haiti Kalora won. Transmission came out of the race with a lot of credit. He was a long way back at the top of the hill and finished off very eye-catchingly. Both of them have spin over hurdles subsequently, just to kind of keep their juices flowing at the same time, protect their marks. So I'm not sure whether Now Is the Hour perhaps could cope with them on his first visit to Cheltenham. So I just think I think he's just a little bit too short up against those two powerhouses from the UK.
Interesting. Now Is the Hour. The one that Andy's looking to take on. A couple of horses that I'm sure will be popular punters there, but Andy and Blogsy both making cases as to why you should maybe steer clear. That brings our festival previews to a close. But we are going to have a quick look ahead.
Sad moment.
I know. 8 episodes. I've enjoyed it. But we're going to kick off. We have a look ahead to the weekend quickly and just cover off. We'll start with the EBF final, where Meet Me by the Sea is the 4-1 favourite ahead of the Kemble Brewery at 5-1. Belliano 5-1. George's Lad is 13-2. Elysian Knight 12-1. Passo 16-1. 16-1 bar those. Blogsy, what do you fancy here?
Yeah, I'm very, very keen on Ben Pauling's horse here, Meet Me by the Sea, who has been trained for this race. It was the target from way back. They've been planning this for a long, long time. And obviously him and the Kemble Brewery's form tie in very, very closely. Meet Me by the Sea beat him at Ludlow. And he beat him quite comfortably, to be fair. I know the Kemble Brewery's a few pounds better off at the weights, but they've done really well to get this horse into the race off a 1.28. I think he's potentially a 1.40 horse going forward. Callum Pritchard claims a handy 5. He almost got this beat at Doncaster, where he was being far too cocky, and Tom Bellamy nearly beat him on the post. We all had our heart in our mouths that day if you backed him odds on like I did. But I think Meet the Sea is a very, very progressive horse. They've kept away from Cheltenham. I think he could be a handicap good thing in this, and I think he could go off a lot shorter. I don't like Bellino in the race for Paul Nicholls. I don't think he's well handicapped off a 1.25. I see him as a future chaser. I'm a big fan of the Kemble Brewery. When we done my Priced Up show, he was one of my 5 horses to follow for the season. He's had a few health issues, and I'm just a bit worried with the ground drying out. A horse like him could do with a bit of juice in the ground. I've got a lot of respect for him. Kim and Matt Nicholls, the joint trainers now, have obviously put him away for the race. And I think wherever Meet Me by the Sea is, the Kemble Brewery won't be too far away. I could see the two of them running 1-2. It's a good race, and we've got some good horses who have won this in the past, the likes of Crambo, Beauport, McFabulous. But I do think that Meet Me by the Sea is a handicap good thing here.
Meet Me by the Sea, the one for Blogsy, 4-1 with Priced Up. Andy?
Yeah, it's one of my sort of favourite races of the season, this. I really do enjoy it. I enjoy watching all the qualifiers and the horses, how they get there. And there's been several big eye catches in victory and defeat. And the one I really like out of the whole lot is George's Lad, Emma Lavelles. I think this is
my son.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. This, I'm going to put my neck on the block here. I think this is the possibly the next best thing coming through from Ever Lavelle stable.
Wow.
I don't know whether it'll be the new Paisley Park. There's just something about this horse that suggests to me he's going to be top class. If he gets beat here, it'll be because of inexperience rather than ability. The day when he ran against Vanderpoel at Huntingdon, that was a very strongly run race. But the form worked out really well. Vanderpoel won next time out. Georgie's Lad himself went on to win at Doncaster next time out. Rubber Ball, he won twice since at Utoxeter and Newbury when he loaded the colours of two smart horses. Serious Challenge, Fergal O'Brien's horse has won a couple of races subsequently. He beat an odds-on shot of Gordon Elliott the other day, Air Bowen's Fire. So that is very, very strong form. But it was over a trip that didn't suit Georgie's Lad. He's not a two-miler. He ran beyond Miami Magic at Kempton the time before, got beat 12 lengths, but he did all his best work at the end. They stepped him up at Doncaster and he absolutely cantered it. I mean, he never come off the bridle. Harry Cobden, who rode him that day, got off him and I listened to his interview on ATR. He just said, yeah, this is a proper horse. And I'm in the same way of thinking. He's only 5, so he's got plenty of time to mature. Like I say, it'll be an experience that'll do him at Sandown. And sometimes you need a different type of horse to win the EBF final, like a proper, a McFabulous of Cranbow, an embryonic shape that's proper strong, But I really like him. And the other one I like is Kepler's Law. Again, if he gets beat here or doesn't run well, it'll be on account of the ground. I think he wants genuine soft ground. It's okay to make good soft in places. A bit of rain forecast Friday, Saturday. That might just help him. But he bolted up. He wasn't apologising at Leicester the other day. And he's formed times with some good novices early in the season, like Mr. Megget. Yeah. Finished second to Mr. Megget Aintree when he was 40-1 on his rules debut. I actually watched him in his point-to-point when he won. I was doing some work for a bloodstock agent friend of mine, and he was one that I sort of marked down as being a horse to keep on the right side of. But he'll make a chaser in time. So two really nice horses for stables that know what they're doing with animals like this. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they go. Georgie's Lad and Kepler's Law.
It's interesting, Georgie's Lad ran at Doncaster the same day as Meet Me by the Sea.
Yes, Meet Me by the Sea was much better on the figures.
Right.
His time figure was much better.
Okay. Interesting.
But Georgie's Lad never came with the bridle. So
right, I'll do a combination tricast.
Perfect.
I think Georgie's Lad has got to be on the conversation with most people if they.
That Huntingdon form's exceptional.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
It was, like I say, time figure wise, he comes out top on that. Off
Probably
that
the best 0 to 130 you'll see this year.
Strange run from Vanderpoel last weekend.
He was just too free.
Yeah,
he was just rank.
Weird in the market as well. Kind of doubled in price.
It was almost as if they knew he was rank.
Yeah.
He was rank all the way through. He was just too keen.
Yeah.
To be fair, the winner, like Jet to Vegas, kept him honest all the way through. It meant that but Ben Jones could never get a breather into him, and he was dead at the second last.
Yeah. Kepler's Law, 16-1. George's Lad, 13-2. The two there for Andy, and then we'll quickly nip through to the Imperial Cup, the 225, where we've got. One sec. Yeah, we've got Beau Zenith is the 5-1 favourite ahead of Lump Sum, and Batman Girac at 7-1. Go Dante is 15-2. Reckless Eric 9-1. Alfildil 11-1. All of these prices are pretty hot off the press after final deck, so are subject to change. Andy, who do you fancy in the Imperial Cup?
I used to be a big fan of some others do have them back in the day. So Betty is my choice here. Ben Jones, Ben Clark.
11-1.
Yeah, nice each way bet. I think one of the only few course and distance winners in the field. She lagged him when she won early on in the season. She clearly likes at Sandown. I like horses that run well at Sandown. Like I say, very much a specialist track. Good third last time in a listed race, I think. And she also finished second to Golden Ace in a listed race at Cheltenham last season. So she's run against some very good mares. She's beaten the boys. And she's got Sandown form, so
easy.
Ooh, Betty.
11-1. Ooh, Blogsy.
I've been waiting for this horse to run for a long time. Batman Girac for Willie Mullins. Crept into the race from the back of the field at the Dublin Racing Festival and fell at the last with only 3 lengths down. Heartbreaking for us who backed him each way. I did. He's stepping down from Grade 1 company last year when he ran behind Cargazzi, only 9 lengths behind. Had a pipe opener at Christmas, went to Leopardstown, was there to win. I'm not saying he was going to win, he was going to be second or third. I think coming over here off a British mark of, what is it, on 135, the drying ground's going to suit. JJ Slevin's coming over to ride him, obviously retained to the owners. I think he has to be there. I mean, this is a horse who isn't far behind Grade 1 mares. Off a 135, he's going to sit out the back. Sandown can be one of the worst tracks in the world when it goes heavy. The fact it's drying out is going to suit him because he's got to turn a foot. I can see this being rode stone cold by JJ, creeping into it come the second last and just take over. I'll be fascinated to see what happens with this thing in the market, but I think he's very well handicapped.
Yeah, really interesting. On debut, was sent off 7-4 favourite in a horse in a race that was won by Nürburgring and with Carlo Conti in second. Yeah. Ran 5 lengths behind Carlo Conti next time out too. So, you know, the in terms of the horses that he's run behind, you know, there's some back form there.
Very unexposed.
Yeah, I think off memory, is this a race that the Irish do quite well? I think Belfast Banter won it for the Fahis a few years ago.
Surprise package in 2022.
Surprise package,
well.
That's it. Yeah. So it's a race that the Irish, you know, when they do send one over, that you've got to respect.
Really interesting. Batman Girac, the one for Blogsy there in the Imperial Cup. There we have it. It's the end of the show. Can't believe it. The Cheltenham Roar is, you know,
it's like Christmas morning's
it's getting
over.
louder.
We've opened all our presents.
I know. What else
5
is there
days
to
to
do?
go.
Yeah.
We've got the Cheltenham fourfold on day 1 now with Lossiemouth, hopefully in the mares.
We'll, the three of us will be there on Tuesday when the actual Cheltenham Roar comes to pass in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Thank you very much for watching this series with PricedUp and oddschecker combining. We've gone through loads of the races, pretty much every single race of the festival over the last 8 episodes or so. Andy and a rotating group of guests have all been brilliant. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you sign up to PricedUp before the festival. Loads of boosts up on site now. They're going to continue all the way up until Tuesdays. The racing starts on Tuesday and throughout the week too. So sign up for an account. You can click on the link in the description below to do so. Also check out oddschecker throughout the festival, giving you the best prices, bookie offers, free bets and plenty more. Andy's tips will be straight to the oddschecker app and site every night before racing. And do I even need to tell you to follow Blogsy's socials? Probably not.
Be popping.
If you're here, I mean, tell us in the comments exactly what you think of Blogsy. I'm sure he'd love to see.
Can I just say the content is going to go to another level this Cheltenham,
Good.
I'm looking to do 40 million views over the 4 days. I'm looking to break my own PR.
Yeah.
So less Guinness, more content, and I'm really going to get in and amongst it.
Are we going to have the camera right in your face during Constitution Hill's Champion Hurdle?
Absolutely. There'll be plenty of fan reaction videos, interviewing the race goers, getting reactions, being in and amongst it in the Guinness Village, capturing all of the crack that is Cheltenham. I can't wait to be there. I think this is a brilliant festival. You know, I really
cannot wait.
Yeah,
cannot wait. It's going to be a cracker. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show. Thank you very much for watching. And if you are gambling in the festival, please ensure that you gamble responsibly. We'll see you soon.